Alright, so both of these games have just finished, and after when I finish reviewing both of these games, I will be doing the preview in terms of the weekend's action, where once again, we're going to have a full slate of weekend's action, although I will only be previewing the first 8 games because that's where the Saturday action is going to happen, and on Sunday, there's going to be 5 games that's going to be taking place, and I'll probably do the preview of that either tomorrow or on Saturday. But that being said, going back to looking at these two Tuesday games, well, if there's a word to summarize in terms of these two Thursday action, it's robbery. Because both of these teams that won tonight, they really stole the game away from their opponent. And we'll start off with Orlando City taking on the Philadelphia Union, and I think this was probably one of the ugliest wins that Orlando City has got this season. Probably right up there in terms of when they play against DC United early this season, where, remember, that was the game where they scored an early goal and then they basically just kind of locked it down for the last 84 minutes and hold on to get a 1-0 victory. And while this was not the case in this one, where Orlando City just kind of jumped out to a 2-0 lead and locked it down for the rest of the game, the Union had a lot of chances in this one, especially late in this game, where there was even a glorious opportunity with the clock winding down that I'm still kind of asking myself, how in the world did that ball did not go into the back net and that it gave the Union the equalizer at that point. But first of all, this game was delayed for 45 minutes because of lightning, because, you know, this is Florida, and usually we're at that time of the period where you're going to see some weather delay that's going to be happening in Florida. In fact, there's been a lot of weather delay that has happened in this past week. I think while the game from last weekend's action between Inter Miami versus the Red Bulls was actually postponed because of severe weather. And throughout my 7 years watching MLS, I don't recall there has ever been a game that's been postponed because of severe weather. I mean, MLS is not like the MLB where, you know, they think that the weathers are bad enough. The MLB tends to have a very short leash, and they said, you know what, might as well just postpone it to another day. That's not the case in MLS. I mean, in MLS, they will wait till maybe play like around late into the evening, and I thought that was maybe a game where it's probably going to kick it off very late, even if the lightning storm was still going on, but they just decided to kind of pull the plug on that. And again, it will be very interesting to see when that game is going to be make up. But for this one, one eventually did kick off about 45 minutes later, and it kicked off at 8:25 p.m. Eastern time. Now, this did create a bit of an issue because that means with this game kicking off late, this game basically was playing simultaneously, and I didn't think I had to keep an eye on 2 games at once tonight, but unfortunately I have to do so, and I kind of had trouble in terms of exactly finding out where exactly this game is taking place. Well, actually, I knew what game it was taking place, but I was just scrambling in terms of trying to find a good knockoff stream to basically watch this game, because unfortunately I don't have ESPN2, and yeah, you know, it was kind of tough for me to just kind of scramble to not only keep an eye on this game, but also keep an eye on this game once this game kicked off about an hour and 20 minutes after this one kicked off. But in the first half, Orlando gets the early lead. It's Benji Michel that scored from Pereira to make it 1-0 in favor of Orlando City. What a beautiful pass that was from Pereira, like literally just split between the Union defense, and he feeds a perfect ball to Michel, who, you know, he didn't take the best of the first touch, but he did just enough to able to get himself through on goal and basically coolly slots home to give Orlando City the 1-0 lead. Then Pereira almost got on the score sheet after he missed wide after some beautiful 1-2 ball from Orlando City. Like, early in this game, I thought Orlando was actually the better team, and they were kind of playing that beautiful soccer that I saw Orlando play throughout last season. But, you know, as the game kind of kept going. Oh, by the way, I also thought the Union defense, yeah, it looked like they forgot that, yeah, they need to start get going. I mean, I think they were kind of caught a little bit off guard because of the lightning delay, because they were pretty much sleepwalking for the first 15 minutes. But once they did start to get going, the team did started to have some possession after they were kind of getting pinned back. But the problem is, they just couldn't create anything. And it's almost like Orlando City, after they went up 1-0 and kind of dominate a little bit. They just said, you know what, we're just gonna sit back and let you have the ball, and let's see if you can, of course, break us down. And we know a lot of teams, when they play against Orlando City, they had a lot of trouble in terms of breaking down this Orlando City defense. That is one of the most locked down this defense for this season. Now, despite the fact that, you know, the Union, they had possession and can't create anything going forward, I thought neither team really did anything. In fact, there was only 5 shots that was combined in the first 40 minutes, and only 1 shot on goal for the first 40 minutes. And that 1 shot on goal was the goal that Benji Michel basically scored, and I think that also turns out to be the only shot on goal so far in the first half, because I didn't think the Union had a shot on goal in the entire first half. Although late in the first half, they did have a couple of chances that was off target. First, Santos did put it high from close range before Glasnes did had a good look of a header, but unfortunately he hits it wide for about 10 yards out, and we head to halftime with Orlando City leading 1-0 against the Philadelphia Union. So in the second half, the Union continued to search for the equalizer. First, Gazdak did try to go for a long-range effort, but that one goes wide before he missed wide again, this time from close range. The Union, they definitely were looking to press for the equalizer, but Orlando City would get that second goal and in some way kind of score against the run of plays, as Pereira would score from Nani, and Pereira to give Orlando City a 2-0 lead. And I thought that really kind of killed the momentum for the Union, because it definitely looked like the Union were on verge of getting the equalizer, and then Orlando City basically doubled their lead and kind of had that momentum back, and it was almost 3-0 when Nani did hit it high from close range in the 63rd minute. There was also a penalty kick shout not long after Nani went down in the box. Nothing was given in that play. But then in the 67th minute, Shibelko would score from Baizo to give the Union some hope in this game and pretty much wrestle the momentum back to Philly side. And really for the rest of the game, this is when the Union was really pushing to try to get that equalizer. Glasnes did deny Gazdak in the 78th minute. Philly, of course, once again was pushing for the equalizer, and as the time winds down, it looked like Orlando City was going to hold on to get the 2-1 win, until in the 6th minute of stoppage time, Galese not only absolutely robbed Jack Elliott, and first of all, I was kind of surprised to see Jack Elliott there. Like, I was like, what is Jack Elliott doing in the 18-yard box and almost acting like a striker? But not only the fact that this was an incredible save from Galese, but on the follow-up, I think, oh god, I forgot who exactly it was, but one of the Union player basically feed up a dangerous ball that was literally trickling in the byline, and I believe it was Quinn Sullivan that was trying to tap it into the back of the net, and somehow in some way Kyle Smith basically was in the right place at the right time to clear that one off the line. Like, I don't think he knows a lot about it. And again, I think he was just in the right place at the right time in terms of clearing that one off the line. But how in the world did that not end up into the back of the net? I mean, I'm still kind of stunned till this day. And I'm pretty sure Union fans are probably stunned the fact that should have been the second goal, and they should have got at least a point out of this game. But in the end, they weren't able to get a point out of this game, as Orlando City, as I said, they survived in this game despite the fact that the Union was putting heavy pressure on them and really kind of maybe got a little bit fortunate late in this one. And the stats in this game and the shots in this game clearly show that the Union clearly should have deserved at least a point out of this game. 18 shots compared to just 5 that Orlando City has. 6 shots on goal compared to 2 that Orlando City has. 11 shots off target compared to 2 that Orlando City has. Both teams had 1 shot that was blocked. And possession-wise, both teams had 50% possession. But at the end of the day, Orlando City, they was just the more clinical side. And I know I'm going to throw this cliche again, but anytime when you have these kind of games, usually when you are the team that is the more clinical side, you're always going to be the one that is going to potentially win the game. And if you're the losing team, despite the fact that you dominate possession and also the well, not possession in this case, but in terms of the stat chart, in terms of shots and shots on goal, and you don't put the ball into the back of the net, yeah, you really have no one to blame but yourself in terms of it, even though they had that very unlucky chances late in this one. Speaking of a team that basically wastes a lot of chances, moving on, in terms of the last match of this Thursday night action is Austin FC. And honestly, you know, throughout this season, I talk about how this has been a big issue for Austin FC. Like, they can play some of the best soccer in the league, but the biggest issue for Austin FC of the reason why they haven't been able to get wins and have got a lot of draws lately is because they just cannot finish. Like, you look at most of the games this season, they have failed to score goals, mainly because they just don't have a guy in that team that can be that clinical finisher to basically put it into the back of net. And surprise, surprise, it seems like it was once again the case in this game against the Seattle Sounders, who, I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people hate the Seattle Sounders, and heck, I hate the Seattle Sounders too, but after this game, I kind of have to applaud of what they just did, because this was a game where you didn't think for sure that they were going to at least get a point out of this game, let alone all 3 points. Like, they were literally kind of almost punting this game away by pretty much putting a U21 team. In fact, 3 of the 11 players that started in this game for the Sounders, they were the free youngest player that we have ever seen in league history to make their debut in MLS. And you just think this is a game for that really, Austin is the one for them to lose. And turns out they kind of lost this game because of what I mentioned, how they once again struggle in terms of those finishing. Now, early on in the first half, unsurprisingly, Austin was on the front foot. Redis did had a chance early in the 6th minute, but he blazed one high from 23 yards out before Kakuta Mane had a free header but missed wide from close range. And again, Austin in complete control, but once again, that killer finishing was just not there, and I was hoping that this was not going to be one of those games for Austin where no matter what they try going for in front of goal, they just aren't able to put away their chances, and they could potentially get punished late in this game because of that. But in the 28th minute, Brad Smith did lash one high, as I thought that was really the first chance that the Sounders had. I mean, for the first 25 minutes, it was pretty much all Austin FC, and that chance kind of give the Sounders not only some hope, but kind of gave them a little bit momentum, because just 4 minutes later, Stuver actually had to deny Baker Witten, who is one of those free youngsters that, of course, was in the starting 11, and one of those free youngsters that were the youngest player to ever debut in an MLS game. I think he was like 16 years old, making a start in this game. Well, he had a chance for a dream debut, but unfortunately Stuver was able to deny him from close range. Before, on the other end, Dominguez missed wide from close range as the game kind of started to become a little bit end-to-end, and chances were coming in for both teams. But then in the 45th minute, another Sounders youngster, this time it's Ade Ren. I think that's how you say it. Part of this game I did put it on mute because I was still watching this one, so I kind of didn't hear like the actual pronunciation in some of these Sounders players. And again, some of these Sounders players, they have never played for this team, so it was kind of really tough for me to really kind of just get their pronunciation right, even if I hear like the broadcast they're kind of pronounce their name a couple of times. But he went through on goal and looked like was going to give the Sounders the lead, but unfortunately he just did not have that composure to put that one away. And we head to halftime with both teams scoreless, 0-0. Now, heading into the second half, Austin started to realize that, they got to also be careful not to just, for the majority of the first half, they were the better team, but they got to be careful not to get caught on the other end, and that they got to eventually score that crucial first goal to take advantage of the possession and also the dominance that they have in this game. And the 49th minute, Fagundes almost did that, but he dragged it wide from 25 yards out before Rain had a free header, but unfortunately that one goes straight to Spencer Ritchie. And again, Austin, they had their moments in this game, but they just cannot find that clinical finishing. Komanich did had a chance in the 60th minute as he lashed that one from long range, but it goes straight into Ritchie. And I also kind of was about to write, is this going to be another one of those games for Austin FC where it looks like maybe this is going to end 0-0, and that it's definitely a 0-0 draw that Austin FC will be very frustrated because again, they were playing against a really weak Sounders team, and their finishing once again, of course, let them down in this game. And then in the 68th minute, the worst nightmare for them kind of came true, because in that moment, Ruidíaz would score not only, I would say, in contention for goal of the week, but I would say it's a contention for goal of the year. Like, the fact that he basically hits that one from 40 yards out. Like, first of all, that one I think was bounced off of Komlich and kind of bounced right back to Ruidíaz. And I thought in most cases you would maybe think Ruidíaz would just kind of drive at that Austin FC defense and maybe hope to try to score. But what a heads up play this was from Ruidíaz, seeing Stuver kind of came off his lines and had the audacity of trying to chip that one for about 40 yards out. I mean, that is just an incredible goal that he scored. And again, this is definitely going to be in contention for not only goal of the week. I mean, I'm pretty sure if this game does carry into the weekend's action, this is definitely going to be the goal of the week. But this is definitely going to also be a contention for goal of the year, because this was kind of a Zlatan-esque kind of goal with the way that Ruidíaz hit that one from so far out and able to put that one into back of net, and most importantly, giving the Sounders a 1-0 lead in this game, an unimaginable 1-0 lead in this game against Austin FC. Now, just 3 minutes later, Berhalter did try to be a little bit cheeky as he tried to backheel this one. Now, to be fair, this one was a ball that was coming into the box, and I think he did had his back toward goal, so really his only option was trying to backheel it, but unfortunately he missed that one wide. Before in the 77th minute, looked like Austin FC got the equalizer as Cascante actually put the ball into the back of the net on a header, but unfortunately that goal was disallowed by VAR because Cascante was in an offside position, and on replays, yes, Cascante was clearly in an offside position, maybe about a couple of yards offside, but nevertheless, it was offside, and certainly to the dismay of the 20,000 fans at Q2 Stadium. But then on the other end, just a couple of minutes after that goal was chopped off, the Sounders almost made it 2-0, and in fact, they thought that they made it 2-0 when Ruidíaz puts it into the back of the net, but the goal was disallowed once again for offside, and this time they didn't go to VAR. It was actually the linesman basically really flagged that one offside as soon as Ruidíaz put that one in. And when you look on the replay, I thought this one was much tighter than the Cascante call. Like, the Cascante call, as I mentioned, I feel like it was clear that he was at least a yard or two offside. This one maybe was just a foot or two or even inches offside, and I kind of surprised that they didn't even look at this one as to see whether or not if it was offside or not, because this one was definitely closer than the one that they looked for offside throughout the VAR call. But either way, as the game continued to go on, Austin was continuing to try to push for the equalizer, and the 5th minute of stoppage time, Pochettino did pull one wide from long range, which at that point I just cannot help myself but just kind of wrote, this sums up Austin night. Like, I didn't want to write that just to hope that eventually maybe Austin will get that equalizer, but really at that point you just feel like, yeah, this is basically not their night whatsoever. And yeah, in the end, Austin, they dropped their first ever home game in their franchise history as they lost 1-0 to the Seattle Sounders. And the shots in this game, despite the fact that I mentioned how Austin were by far the better team, when you look in the stats, it's pretty even except for the possession. 13 shots compared to 10 that the Sounders had. Both teams had 3 shots on goal. 7 shots off target compared to 5 that the Sounders had. 3 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that the Sounders had. And the possession is where I basically tell you why Austin FC were the better team, where they dominate the possession, 75% of that compared to just 25% that the Sounders had in this game. But as I said before, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much the possession you have and how much the stats favorites you. If you aren't able to find that clinical finishing and your opposition are able to do so, then yeah, you're most likely going to be end up on the losing end, and that's just kind of the case for Austin FC in this game. And this has just got to be something they have to figure it out, because again, I like the idea that Josh Wolf is trying to do with this team, and everything about this team looks very, very good, and everything that tells me about this team could definitely be a playoff team. But the only reason why that they are not considered a playoff team, and the only reason why they're still stuck near the bottom of the Western Conference, is that they just don't have that player that can show that killer finishing and able to put the ball into the back of net. And you just wonder, heading into the summer transfer window, that is something that Austin FC is going to be very desperate in terms of look for, because really that's just a missing piece for Austin FC in terms of them potentially could be a team that can win games and get themselves maybe back into the playoff race. But for the Seattle Sounders, like I said, this was an improbable win that they had. And as much as I know this is going to annoy a lot of people, and especially pretty much every single team in the Western Conference, this is what the Seattle Sounders is. They find a way to win games, and this is also why they're considered MLS Cup contender, because as much as you would think that they basically punt this game away and basically put out a reserve team in this game, they still are able to find a way to get all 3 points despite like that. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.